we don't give people real good reasons not to be conspiracy theorists. I think that's my concern. And like creating trust when it comes to big tech and this sort of thing, like it's never going to happen. And the problem is these guys are so cutthroat and they're so about the bottom line that, and then they do shady shit on the side, and it's like nobody's going to trust them. And so of course people are going to like fill in the blank. They're going to make up what they don't know. And I think that's where this whole weird thing with, tribal politics and the polarization we're seeing, and it's very reactive, right? It's super reactive. And it's like, either you're a Bill Gates fan or you think he's a, conspiracy guy who's injecting you with GPS targeted, whatever. And it's like, it's not either or, but
right. There's definitely some gray area there.
Right. But it's like, they don't do themselves any favors.
No, they don't. And keep in mind, right? So we talked about, and I'm probably going to end up with like a libel lawsuit over saying something like this. But keep in mind that while there's a large portion of the CEOs of the world that suffer from sociopathy, a lot of these tech entrepreneurs and innovators are on the spectrum. At some level, they are. Whether it's Asperger's, and many of them have acknowledged that or even been aware of it, or somewhere else on the autism
Elon
spectrum.
acknowledged on SNL that he was diagnosed with Asperger's as a child. And my sister, she's like,
Gates
Asperger's doesn't exist anymore. And I'm like, okay, understood. But it probably did when he was diagnosed.
It's still in the DSM as far as I'm aware. Maybe it isn't in the DSM-5.
I don't know if it is anymore.
But it's still part of maybe it's not a separate part of the autism spectrum, but it's on the spectrum. These are not necessarily people whose emotional intelligence levels are particularly high. They're very good at what they do. Typically so much so that they make billions of dollars. But one of the things they probably were never very good was fostering relationships and knowing how to present themselves to the world. So when you say they're not doing themselves any favor, I don't know that they can do themselves any favor.
Right.
And then on the other side of that, this is Silicon Valley for a significant period of time was supposed to be the antithesis to Wall Street. But ultimately, the goals of both the West Coast and the East Coast are the same. It's the dollar.
Yep.
You get the bottom line, you make it by any means necessary. And whether you're Patrick Bateman and, you're killing hookers, or you're Elon Musk and you're killing hookers, it does. I got censored. See, it happens sometimes. Our AI knows when to stop me from talking.
Killing sex workers, I think is what you meant to say.
That is the correct terminology.
Yeah. So where do we go from here, Brooks? How do we strike this balance? How do we, how do we move forward in this crazy, crazy world? Do we just hope and pray, or what are we doing?
Well, I mean, thoughts and prayers. But in my mind, I don't know what to tell you, because ultimately the answer is the Sherman Antitrust Act, and we put in place legislation that would ensure that there are better watchdogs for these large tech companies. But it's never going to happen because our lobbyist system in this country will not allow a change in legislature that will better the middle class. So then we just have to hope that ChatGPT rules all and makes better decisions.
Well, there is that question. Could AI with proper prompt generation actually come up and help us solve some of these problems? And again, that's my hope. I'm an optimist. I'm a tech optimist, but like,
I'm going to stick on the optimist side only in the sense that, yeah, I do believe that technology will be the salvation, and it has to get here before we destroy ourselves, one way or the other. Because if we get to a point where we can eliminate scarcity, then you can sit in your sad little sandbox with all of the trillions of dollars you have that no one wants. It'll be like the looking at the Venezuelan currency right now, where you have 10 wheelbarrows and you can't buy a loaf of bread because no one wants your shitty currency.
It's interesting. It's if you think about futurists from like 50 years ago, they were talking about robotics and automation and all these sorts of things, and how it was going to it was going to take away all our jobs, but it was going to create abundance. So it's going to give us our time back so that we could
The
do
Gene Roddenberry
more
idea,
creative, more creative endeavors. But I mean, AI is going to be a better musician than I am in my lifetime. So,
well, see, that's one that we're interested, or that I'm interested in. I think most people are. When AI can produce generative art, whether it's music or art itself, without the nuanced inputs of humans, then I'll be fascinated. And as long as, and I've referenced this time and again because Frank Herbert was kind of thinking this way about what machines may do to us. In Dune, they thought that the best way to make music was just like squeeze humans and hear what weird noises we might make. And so I don't want that. That's not the hope here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I think that, the fact that right now AI relies on prompts, it relies on human prompts, and it's relying on all of this data that was, created by humans that we're now training it on, right? So it can generate, like if you look at Mid-Journey, and your ability to prompt some extraordinary piece of art in no time at all. It's pretty incredible. Now, the question you're asking is, will it be able to do it on its own without human input? And I think the answer to that question is when we develop the technology to give robotics sensory input, right? So when we can find ways to replicate non-human input, but environmental input, is when this all goes in a totally different direction.
I agree with you. But until then, regardless of the AI platform, it's just a better guitar if you want to think about music.
Right. Or a better mousetrap if you want to think about building something. Yeah. No,
the old Rube Goldberg machine.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna be an optimist either way. So what have I got to lose?
I mean, we all die in fire, and we'll be dying in fire, so it won't be that big of a
deal. But at least I'll have a good attitude about it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can get like extra big ass fries. Oh, here's our for those of you who haven't been paying attention to the weird corners of the internet, our 2023 political message of the week is that at South by Southwest this past month, President Macho Esperanzo Mountain Dew Camacho has once again restated his running for 2024 as president. And if you're not familiar with that, it's the movie Idiocracy. It's Terry Crews who is the president, and he did show up in full costume at South by Southwest and announce his presidency for 2024.
You're serious?
I'm dead serious. He's not running for president, but he did show up at South by and did a whole bit about it. Yeah. If Terry Crews ran for president, I don't know what I would do. I'd be very, very torn there.
That's amazing. If you're listening right now and you haven't left us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please do so. That would mean the world to us. If you want to watch this show live, if you want to ask us questions live, make sure you come check us out. Subscribe to the Singularity Lab on YouTube. If you're here right now and you're live, make sure you check out Apple Podcasts. And if you ever miss anything, see us over there. Make sure you click the like and subscribe button. We're here for you. We appreciate you guys joining us today, and we'll see you next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTubes.
You guys have a great week. Take care.
Bye-bye.